Coming up in the Michigan Football Report, what does the future hold for suspended running back Chris Evans? Is Jim Harbaugh about to flip a linebacker recruit? And lastly, whoop, whoop, giveaway alert. Watch for that story and more coming up on the Michigan Football Report, still in New York, via the Chroma Key Express train. Let's go! And I want to let you guys know, what do you know is different? James Yoder, I'm making it happen with the names. I had to go with James T. Yoder, through my middle initial there, for the last 10 years on Twitter. All of a sudden, I have finally got the name that belongs to me, at James Yoder. So if you see anybody out there with James T. Yoder, it's an imposter. I am at James Yoder on Twitter. Same account if you're already following. If you're not, here's an opportunity to follow me on Twitter, at James Yoder. New name just since last week. So really excited to finally get my first and last name with no middle initial stuck in the middle. All right, the Jim Harbaugh Attack Each Day podcast. I got wind. I'm an insider in the media industry. I talked to some people. I kind of got my ear on the vibe what the fans are thinking. And there is a growing groundswell of angry people who were once supporters of the Jim Harbaugh podcast that think the quality of the show is tanking. So I'm giving this one 2 Harbaugh heads. I don't really listen to Harbaugh podcasts anymore, and maybe that's the reason, maybe I'm one of many people not anymore, because the word on the street, again, not my word, I don't really have any dog in this fight here, but the word on the street is that since host JT Rogan, the wonderful JT Rogan, one of the great guys out there in the sports world, left the Michigan football program to go back into the business world last summer, they replaced him with a new host. And since then, again, I'm not looking at the numbers and analytics, combing them, but I can confirm, since he left, they are no longer, not even, they used to be in the top 20, top 30 sports podcasts every single day of the week last year. They're no longer in the top 200 of the podcast rankings. Not even in the top 200. Jim Harbaugh Podcast, powered by Podcast One, the biggest or second biggest podcast network out there, is not even in the top 200. And some people are blaming it on this man, Ira Weintraub, who is the Attack Each Day podcast host, took over for the wonderful JT Rogan, rumored to be unpopular with the show audience. I got a message the other day, got hip to a little conversation out there, and people are not happy with the, I guess, the performance of Mr. Ira Weintraub. So I want to know from you guys, do you listen to the Harbaugh podcast? From what I'm hearing, ratings have tanked by as much as 50% since last summer when JT Rogan left and Ira Weintraub came on. Now look, I didn't know who Weintraub really was until I came across the story, did a little research. I realized he's the guy who does the WTKA, the local Ann Arbor kind of tiny little radio station that does Michigan stuff in the city of Ann Arbor. He does the post-game show. When I started connecting the dots, I kind of get why people might be big mad about this guy being the host, because he is the king of the ums and the and I haven't got a chance to listen to him on this podcast, at least not recently. I think I did once or twice last summer, last fall. But if he's the reason, I can see why the podcast rankings are tanking. So do you listen to the Harbaugh podcast? And if you do or you don't, obviously you'll answer one. Let me know if the host has anything to do with it. Are the rumors true? Is Ira Weintraub the reason why the ratings have fallen so much, according to sources, on the Harbaugh podcast? One little big J pro tip to you, Ira: say the ums in your head. Say the ums in your head, and then you're more. I guess I'm saying the uhs now too. Yeah, I'm gonna laugh over there. You say the ums in your head, you are polished on air. Let's keep it rolling. Chris Evans, Michigan's running back. Many people thought to be the starting running back. Former running back, I should say. Could he be returning to the team in the future? I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. Did we say 3 Harbaugh heads? We did say 3 Harbaugh heads in this one, because I don't think it's going to be this year, in 2019, but from everything we've heard, he is putting all of his cards, kind of lining things up to return academically to Michigan, maybe this fall, probably not, but in the future to reinstate himself for the 2020 season. Now, he should be a true senior this year, 2016, 17, 18, true senior in 2019, could technically sit out this year. You have 5 to complete 4 on academic suspension for probably definitely this spring, probably this fall. Could he return maybe spring 2020, maybe summer of 2020, and get back into the Michigan football lineup for the 2020 season? Certainly going pro isn't an option for him. I don't think he would get drafted if he tried to enter the NFL draft or a supplemental draft. So the only real option would be him to go to a school that lets him in academically, or stick around the Ann Arbor area, come back to the school in 2020 if he is indeed forced to sit out academically in the 2020 fall. It is not a football suspension, academic suspension for the school. I think you can read between the lines on that one. I'm not going to throw him out there. But according to Brandon Brown of Rivals.com, he says Evans, at least the last time I saw, is still in school. It's a lot of misinformation, but I'm telling you the truth here. Evans suspended, working to get back in good academic standing. I think there's a chance, give it 3 Harbaugh heads, we could see him back in a Michigan uniform in the future. Reportedly going to be an assistant football coach for a local high school coming up in fall of 2019. All right, giveaway alert, ladies and gentlemen. You saw me plug last week the new Michigan football Instagram account. We went from about 100-ish followers to about 500 now in a week, just very organically, growing slow. If we get to 1,000 followers, the big wigs at Chat Sports have authorized me to give away 2 tickets to one of the lucky 1,000 followers to the Rashan Gary big baller NFL draft party happening Thursday, April 25th in Ann Arbor. It's at a bowling alley that I can't remember. This thing is, to the nines, red carpet, 50 bones to get in. I'm gonna give away 2 tickets to one of my first 1,000 Instagram followers. So if you want to be partying with Rashan Gary when he gets drafted, becomes a multi-millionaire, you make sure you follow us on Instagram. Tell your friends. Let's get to 1,000 before the draft. We're going to give away 2 tickets at Michigan Football Report on Instagram, and you could be the lucky winner of one of those tickets. All right, one more thing before we get going with the rest of the Michigan football rumors. Make sure to follow Chat Sports on YouTube, youtube.com/chatsportstv. We will have the entire NFL draft, April 25th through 27th. That's Friday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, all day, rounds 1 through 7, live, over 20 hours of coverage on Chat Sports. I might come on as a special guest college football analyst, so make sure to follow. It is the best NFL draft coverage, bar none, on YouTube. So give it a follow, youtube.com/chatsportstv. One more rumor for you. We on commit watch? Well, the word in the street is we are on commit watch. Michigan going to flip a BYU 2021 linebacker commit. I'm giving this one 3 Harbaugh heads. I saw this one on GBM Wolverine. Not a site I use often, but they have some good stuff. Saw this on Twitter, clicked on it, looked into it, seems reputable. Give those guys a shout out. The man's name, the player's name is Logan Fano. He is a unrated 2021 recruit. That just means he's not in the top 250 yet. They really haven't gotten to the 3 and the 2-star yet. He is committed to BYU in the 8th grade. Now, how does this pertain to Michigan? Well, new defensive line coach Sean Nua, who is, I think he's only like 33 or 34 years old, very young guy, has been recruiting him the whole time, was recruiting him at Arizona State where Nua was last year, and that relationship has continued now. At Nua is the new defensive line coach of the University of Michigan. This is what Fano told Wolverines Wire, and my boy Isaiah Hall, one of the great talents out there, sarcasm, Logan Fano says, I'm leaning towards wanting to explore my options. I think Michigan has done more than enough. Right now, it's tempting to commit to the Wolverines. So keep an eye out for this one. Obviously, the defensive line coach from Michigan that had a relationship with him at Arizona State is bringing that relationship over to Michigan. So we are on commit watch. Keep an eye out for this one. Could happen any day now. Probably happen sometime this spring or in the summer. All right, that is the Michigan Football Report Rumors Roundup. If you want to know what I think on the 2019 spring game, I've got my my insiders, my intel is going to be there giving me word. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me in the new at James Yoder Twitter account. We'll be back next week, early next week, with our defensive and offensive post-spring depth chart. So make sure you subscribe, youtube.com/MichiganTV. We'll see you then.